So with this upside down parabola, what would its equation have to start with? Y equals true. What comes after that? What has to start the next part?
X.
Nope. Hint, it's upside down.
Oh, it's negative.
A negative. All right, so everybody you don't have to draw this picture, but start with negative. And then a parenthesis, like this. And you remember parabolas always have a squared, right? And if you could figure out what number to put here and here, that would be based on the vertex, which you should be able to see up here. Got this written down? Your hands aren't moving, then I don't think you do. Okay, so if you haven't already named it, that's -2, 1. And that's a big deal because the vertex is the critical spot. So we're going to put in a -2 right here, and we're going to make it +2 though, and then a +1. Does that make sense to you? Do you get this so far? Okay. Could you have done that? Hope so. All right. One more thing to tell if it's been stretched or not. Do you get when you go over 1 and either up or down 1 that's not stretched? That's just a normal one. So there's no scale factor. Or you could say that the scale would be a 1. This is called two things. It's called the A value and it's called the scale factor. That right there is the A, and it's the scale factor. Yes?
How do you know if it's stretched?
Because if it goes over 1 and down 1, it has not been stretched. Okay. 1 and 1 is the key to look for. So I'll show you one that has been stretched, like that. That was stretched because when you go over 1 and down 1, there isn't a point there. You have to go down 2 to get to the point. So that one was stretched.
Okay.
All right, next thing is, how about a whole bunch of easy points? Oh my gosh, the vertex, that's too easy. I already wrote it, so I'm not going to ask for the vertex, but I'm going to ask for the axis of symmetry. Everybody write that down. This is the moment where you decide you're going to get an A versus the moment where you just kind of slip into a B, because that's the easy thing. The axis of symmetry is the axis of symmetry, and it's x equals something, and that's x equals what? Well, here's the x, -2. I could have gone and said, oh, it's this line, and where is that line? But it's easier to just grab the x of the vertex. All right, so that's the axis of symmetry number. Then if I said that -1, 0 or 0, -1 was a big deal, would you figure out which one is a big deal?
Well, it's x-intercept and y-intercept.
Yeah, except one of these isn't actually a thing on this. Only one of these actually is a big deal. Hint, the y-intercept has x is 0. That would be a y-intercept. Is my y-intercept actually at 0, -1?
No.
No, that isn't even the thing at all. This, you can tell it's either an x-intercept or a y-intercept by the fact that the y is 0. Since the y is 0, do you get that was an x-intercept? It was right there. All right, what's the other x-intercept? Hint, it's right here. You need to know this whole x-intercept is where y is 0, and the y-intercept is where x is 0. That's going to be a really big thing. It's at -3. If you just write -3, I'll cry a little bit and say, God, how many times did I tell him that the x-intercept had y equal to 0? It's a -3, 0. Okay. Is there a y-intercept? Yes, there is. Do you see it? You should see it. I know it might be a little small from sitting in the back row, but there it is. And the y-intercept would be at negative 3, 0. Well, let me just look at it for a second. Does that seem like a y-intercept where the y is 0? No, that's not how that works. The y-intercept is where the x is 0. So it's 0, comma, negative 3. All right, I hope to feel like those are all pretty easy. All right, yes?
Isn't there 2 x-intercepts?
There is. This was the first one I mentioned right here. Because its y is 0, so it's an x-intercept. Okay. So next, we are going to be talking about equations. What if I give you this equation and I say I need its vertex? Well, hint, this form of the equation does not give me the vertex really easy. So this is one of the harder questions. How do you get the vertex for something like this? You got to know an equation. It'll be written at the top of the test, but it'll be written in with like 5 other things. And you'll have to pick out this one. Negative b over 2a was the one to pick. Like you'll have 5 different choices and you got to know that's the one you use. Everybody take a second and do negative b over 2a and get the answer. And then you'll have the x of the vertex, but you won't have the whole vertex. That's what makes this a hard question. Cool. Anybody can just plug in b and a. Nope. X equals negative b over 2a is used to find the vertex, and we haven't done that yet. So this has got an a, this has got a b, and this has got a c. The other equation didn't. The other equation did have an a value. All right, so here's where you start separating out, and some kids can do, okay, so fine, I can put in the 8, and I can put in the a value is a 1, and I can divide those, and I get negative 4. But then they don't know what to do. You know whether you're that kid or not. If you know that, well, yay, you got part of the vertex. But you got to know to finish it, you have to put it back in here. Now, there's a few kids that struggle with the whole squaring thing and whether or not the answer is negative. Because when they type it into their calculator, they think they typed this. That is not how you type that in. Do you get this one has parentheses? When they have a variable, they're at parentheses. So this answer comes out different on your calculator than this answer, which would be different than this answer. So you got to know whether you put parentheses or not. And you do. And there's a variable like this x underneath here, you have parentheses. So you've got to know to put in those parentheses. And then would this come out positive or negative? Do you know? It comes out positive. Yep. Because negative 4 times negative 4 comes out positive. But you got to be good at putting that into your calculator. All right, so that comes out to 16. So this part here is 16. Again, some kids are going to tragically not use the parentheses. And then this is negative 32. And then this last is just copying down the plus 2. So it really comes out to negative 16 plus 2 is negative 14. So this was the x, and the y was negative 14. And again, I know that might be just too much for some of you. But it's not that bad. That goes into the equation. Okay, let's see if you really understood that thing with the negative. I'm putting a negative in my equation this time, and I'm going to have an x, which I'm on purpose going to put a parenthesis around, just to help you not screw this up. Everybody write this down. Let's say this was our equation, and I wanted to put in x equals negative 3. Take a second, and you either get how to put these into a calculator or you don't. And I want to see who gets this right now and who needs to fix it by tomorrow. Go ahead, take a second, use your calculator, get this answer. If you want to do it in your head and you're good at this, awesome, do it in your head. But if you get it wrong, then you need to change your ways. Because it's so important to know that an x is an empty parenthesis. And then you drop in the -3. And if you typed exactly that on your calculator, it would do it right, as long as you know how to put in those parentheses. All right, so that part's 9. Now it's -9. Final answer, -17. Raise your hand if you had -17. Okay, good. Then you get how to put those in. If you didn't have -17, you got to learn to just use the parentheses whenever there's an x. One more time without the parentheses to make it really clear. Negative x squared plus 11. And this time, x is -1. Stick it back in. Figure out the answer. So why do the parentheses matter? Some of you think I'm wrong on this. You think it doesn't matter. You're just going to put in the -1 without the parentheses. Here's the -1 without the parentheses. Do you get the two negatives would cancel and then you'd have 1? And then you'd get 12? That's wrong. So the parentheses apparently do matter. The parentheses around that x totally matter. Because now if I put it in with the parentheses, then that -1 squared comes out +1. Then you make it negative with this, and that becomes -1 plus the 11. Final answer, then the right answer is 10. All right, so hopefully you've mastered that, because that's a big deal on your next test. Because here's an equation like that you're going to have to graph. I wanted just to have 3 points. If you can make 3 points, you'll be able to make 5 later on the test. Find me 3 points. And hint, you're going to have to use a negative number. And that's the point people mess up. So put in at least one negative number. You may recall that I gave you a worksheet yesterday. And I said to only do one side of it. And I say yesterday, I mean Friday, of course. I said to only do one side. If you did the other side, you're not a bad person. You just don't have any homework you can do to practice right now, which would be kind of sad. Anybody that was gone on Friday, please raise your hand and I'll deliver one of these things. There's an easy side and a hard side. You were supposed to do the easy side on Friday, and then the hard side is for today. Would everybody please take that out? I don't care if you're done with it right now, so don't be stressed about like, I didn't do it. I don't care. I care tomorrow, because I'll collect it tomorrow. Okay, 0 would have been a clutch thing to put in. And maybe +1. You could have done any 3 numbers, but you should probably put in -1. Because I told you you had to put in a negative. I'm putting my parentheses, and it matters. And I hope you get that by now. My -1 goes there, and there. And this part comes out to -1, -3, And that's a -1 at the end, I think, isn't it? Is it a -1 at the end? I hope.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So then the grand total is -5, -1, -5. Who had that? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, awesome. Then 0 goes in and you get -1. And then 1 goes in, and this one could also mess people up. 1 goes in, and you get 3 and -1, -1. You get +1. Who had 1, 1? All right, good. That's an example of 3 points that you'd graph. If you had one of those wrong, try putting it in with parentheses where the x's were. And with a calculator, and you type in exactly this. Remember, that's a minus right there. That's a minus. If you type in exactly this with parentheses where the x's were, you'll get the right answer. All right. So what else do you have to know? Stories. Here's a graph. Yes, stories is on the test. So you imagine you've thrown a ball up in the air. Okay, so let's say this is a soccer ball. I've used a lot of football examples. So it's a soccer ball. And it bounces off somebody's head. So it's a header. And that's at 2 meters. So you always start your story there. And you use any math words you know. Because the more math words you use, the better I can give you for a score on this. All right, so this is the height. And this is about a soccer ball. And this is time. And let's say that that was at time 1, and this is in seconds. And this is at time 2. And let's say this is at 10 meters. Write out, and you can use bullet points. You don't have to be like a genius, like at giving a speech. I just need some bullet points about how it started, what happened in the middle, what happened at the end. And use any math words you know, like vertex, like x-intercept, like y-intercept. Amina, can you tell me something about this story of the soccer ball? Vertex, highest, it goes. I like both of those would help you get points. And what is it? What is this vertex? What comma what? It is not at 3. It's time 1. So it would be at 1 comma. And it looks like it's a little lower than 10. I agree, maybe 9. 1 comma 9? Okay. And then what is the 1? It is the axis of symmetry. Very good. That would be another thing you could throw in for some points. And 1 is the time. And at 1 second, it was 9 meters. I didn't ever say it was in meters, though. I should put that. At time 1, it was 9 meters off the ground. If you don't tell me anything about this, I can't give you any points, though. Caden, tell me something about that 2 at the end. What is it in the context of a soccer ball?
It's where it hits the ground.
Yes, hits ground will get you some points, but you need more because that's not a math word.
You said 2, 0.
It is at 2, 0. That'll help. Last thing, what is that? I'll give you a hint. It's not the y-intercept. Yes, x-intercept. At the x-intercept, the ball hits the ground at 2 seconds would be like the perfect answer. I don't expect you to get all of those words perfect, but at 2 meters, it started by bouncing off somebody's head. So its starting height was 2 meters. Then it went up to 9 meters, or I don't know, maybe that was 10, but it was a little less than 10, it seemed like. So its highest height it ever went was 9 meters at the vertex. The axis of symmetry is this line that goes down here, and that. So anyway, there's a lot of ways you could get your points for describing a story of how the thing went. All right, and last but not least, need you to remember domain and range. So here's one more parabola. It's going to go through that point right there, which I'm going to say is 3 comma 1. If it does that, what's the domain? What's the range? You describe what domain is. How far to the left does this go? It goes negative infinity. So many kids put positive infinity right there. Negative infinity. How far to the right does it go? Yep. You can use this symbol or INF. Range is how low to how high. What's the lowest this thing goes? And it's classic to say 3, and it's wrong. Why? Why is 3 wrong? There's a 3 there.
It's the lowest it goes.
The lowest it goes, which is about the y, which would be 1 to infinity, and I still got it wrong. What's the subtle little thing is wrong? Yes?
You forgot the bracket. on
Yes, because it touched at 1 bracket. Okay, another thing that's kind of like this but different is intervals where it's increasing and decreasing, and they are different because they only use parentheses. Only ever parentheses. And increasing and decreasing is only x values. See, last time with the domain or range, we used y values on the range. This time, on increasing, decreasing, you only use x. Please, write this one down, and in a moment, I'm going to have you prepare this for the kid sitting next to you, because this one is an easy point if you know how to do it. It's supposed to be easy. It's in the R2 section of the test. And yet, a lot of people have misconceptions about this, so I want you to compare this in a moment. It's only x values. As you read from left to right, see, some kids think it's increasing on both ends. It is not. You go from left to right, and there's a part where it decreases. If you didn't use infinity in more than one place, you're doing it wrong. Because as this thing goes from the left to the right, there are some times where it's going forever as it goes from left to right. All right, please compare this with the kid next to you and see if you've got this down or not. All right. Increasing, that's this part. I just did it in red. That was where it was increasing. And since it's only x values, it's easy. You pick from 3. 2, well, when does it stop increasing? It never stops increasing, so that's infinity. And don't put a bracket. You only use parentheses. You only use x values. Okay, decreasing then must be this part. And when does it start decreasing? Well, way over here at negative infinity. And it ends at positive infinity? No, it stops decreasing right here. So it goes from negative infinity until x value 3. Who would have had it perfect without my help? All right. And now, from an equation this time, not looking at a picture, can you tell me, and write it properly, what are the x-intercepts? I already know that the y is 0, so they have to be like that. Without even looking, I know that x-intercepts have to be something comma 0. All right, now one of those is like so easy it's insulting. The other one, you have to make a little equation. Sam, you haven't moved your hand in a long time. You already done? trying to help you stay focused. Only reason I care is because your grade is at stake. It's not my grade. X-intercepts make y 0. Now, you do not have to show this, but you remember how the y was right there? If I make it 0, that's true, because they're x-intercepts. Then what over here would make this 0? 3 would. 3 comma 0. That's the easy one. This one, what would make 2x plus 3 equal to 0? You make an equation like that and you solve it. 2x equals negative 3, divide by 2, divide by 2. Negative 3 halves, and I write this, and Mr. Server goes, well, I had that one right, but that one's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because you got to write comma 0. The only answer on the whole test that could just be a number is the scale factor, which is also known as the A value. On this equation, I'm going to rewrite my equation. I'm just going to multiply it out first, though. Actually, I should make you do that because that's on the test. All right, here's one that's in factored form, the same one we had. Can you multiply it out, please? That's a skill for this test, too. So many things to know. Good news is that there's only like 1 minute left to review. The rest of the time we'll be working on that worksheet. There's a key for it. Come on. Lock in. One last question. Multiply this sucker out. So right there, some people already mess up. X times 2x is 2x squared. Other than the little middle part where you got to combine them, that's it. 2x squared, that together will make minus 3x minus 9. If I had said, what's the A value, that's the only question that I can think of that you could just say the answer is 2. The A value here is 2. Cool. The A value is 2. What's the y-intercept? As soon as I say y-intercept, I want you to go, oh, so x is 0. That's what should kick into your head. And you go, oh, so this is 0 and this is 0. That's all gone. So now what's the y-intercept? Y equals 9. Oh, wait, negative 9. Negative 9. Can I just write negative 9 for the y-intercept? No, that's just a plain number, and that's the only time you can do that is for the A values. So that's got to be comma 0 or something. So it's the y-intercept, so it's x is 0. There we go. Okay, done my part. Now will you do your part? There's a worksheet in front of you, and it's got an easy side and a hard side. If you get stuck on either side, you should come up and ask me questions. Tomorrow morning is a morning help time where if you want to, you can come in and get some extra help Tuesday morning. You've got a lot of work time right now. Use it. And that's all I got for you for the video for today.